Hi, I'm Tom Marino. At Cone Resnick, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by Celgene Corporation, committed to improving the lives of patients worldwide, JFK Medical Center, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, the Allendorf Center, and by the Adler Aphasia Center. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, the Star Ledger, and NJ.com, Everything Jersey, and by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. I'm about to introduce you to a gentleman who is doing very important work in the area of healthcare. He is Dr. Bob Goldberg. He's the founder of the Value of Innovation.org. Go on that website throughout this segment. By the way, Dr. Goldberg, is it not a fact that in 2008,
yes,
you coined the phrase Obamacare?
I believe I did, Steve. As a matter of fact, I wrote an article when candidate Obama was running for president about the fact that giving people access to healthcare through Medicaid was going to create shortages, and I called it Obamacare. I figured, you know, it had a nice ring to it. I did not take out a trademark.
So no, it was you.
It was me. Sorry, Mr. President.
That's okay. It's okay, because it's not a pejorative term. It's come to be known as that, but it is in fact the Affordable Care Act, the ACA. Let's talk about this. As people go on the website, let's tell people exactly what valueofinnovation.org is, an organization dedicated to eradicating or basically creating a cancer-free world by 2050.
Yes, yeah. Well, it seems kind of astounding, but by next month, when the Affordable Care Act kicks in, since 1990, advances in cancer care will have saved 50 million lives and doubled survivorship from 6 million to 14 million. And that has an economic value. I actually saw there's a sign that Barnabas has on the turnpike. Life is better. The Barnabas Health, and I'm not plugging them and whatever.
Okay, don't worry about it.
But life is better healthy, and there's an economic value to that, to the tune of $4.8 trillion. As a matter of fact, if we can get to a world free from cancer by 2050, it'll generate $46 trillion in economic value. And that's all for about 2% of what we spend on healthcare.
What stands in the way here? I mean, as people go on the website to get more information, I'm curious about this. Who would be against? Who would want to stand in the way of having a cancer-free world by 2050?
I don't think anybody, you know, would disagree with that in principle, but what you hear all the time, and you hear this from health plans, that the cost of cancer medications, insurance plans, the cost of cancer is unsustainable. I said, really? And then I asked, let's do a thought experiment. What if we didn't have these treatments? What would the cost of treating people with cancer be like today? Or what if we had taken the same attitude towards penicillin, which, by the way, in today's dollars would cost $100,000 to treat a case of strep throat? You know, if people had said that, we wouldn't have gotten to achieve that vision. And I think there is a lot of small-mindedness, if I can be so blunt, in the effort that people want to tamp down costs. So what happens is that even though there are these treatments out there, they're not just available to Angelina Jolie or a Michael Douglas. They're available to every one of us. And to the extent that that's done, you know, first time right every time, we can have a world free from cancer and save money, by the way.
But here's the thing, Doctor. I often, you know, we talk about the role of government, because with whether you call it Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, by the way, we're doing this program in the fall of 2013. Many things will evolve and change over the next several months. The role of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, in this initiative Help, hurt, what?
There are some, let's put it this way. The FDA is trying to speed up the way that drugs are now are approved.
Are they?
However, because they understand that it's no longer one-size-fits-all medicine. I can take a drop of your blood, you can get it sequenced, and then in 24 hours, identify the driver mutations that are the things that are causing the cancer to form, and also get a snapshot of what's causing the tumors to be different. You don't need to enroll 30,000 people in a clinical trial. You can take, it's what's called an N of 1. You take what's inside you, and you use that to match your cancer to the treatment that will stop. Sort of like this finely tailored suit that I have here. The FDA, unfortunately, is still stuck in the idea that we have to do these randomized trials where some people get the drug and some people don't. So that adds a lot of years. As a matter of fact, cancer drugs take longer to get to the FDA than almost any other drug.
Because?
Because in recent years, the FDA has, some people within the FDA had decided that we have too many cancer drugs, not showing enough benefit.
Not showing enough benefit.
Yeah, that's their claim. Except that their measures of benefit really didn't measure individual survival. They were measuring average. And what we've learned about cancer is that every cancer has a specific fingerprint, a specific game plan that you can adapt to by getting this genetic information. So neither the agency or many health insurers have used this information to make their decisions and shape policy.
And finally here, pharma's role here?
Complex? It's complex. I mean, pharma has gone through the same kind of iteration as well. It used to be try to get the blockbuster, get a painkiller that 40 million people can use. Now the treatments are much more targeted. So a drug like Revlimid, which is made by Celgene, targets certain receptors that cause myeloma to form. And that's a very small population. Maybe there's 17,000 people a year are diagnosed with that. But increasingly, your cancer treatment is going to be tailored to those particular kinds of paths. So you have a GPS for how to treat cancer. A lot of people are still using maps to get us there, and that's the rate limiting factor.
Finally, 1 minute left. People go on your on your website, your organization. They find what? They get what?
First of all, they'll learn about the tremendous progress we've made, and they'll learn hopefully in the next couple of weeks what they should ask as the Affordable Care Act rolls out, or even if it doesn't, if you don't need it, what to ask for.
These exchanges, whatever they're called, whether you call them exchanges or marketplace, aren't you putting out report cards as to what exchanges are better, how to find information? Aren't you doing that?
Yeah, so and you're looking for 4 things. Are you getting the genetic testing? Are they paying for the oral medications that really reduce the cost of staying healthier longer? Are the doctors that you have in your network available that are the best out there? And finally, is there an opportunity to do the kind of compassionate use exemptions that both the FDA and the health plans are required to do under the Affordable Care Act?
Important stuff. Go on that website. It is called valueofinnovation.org. Dr. Bob Goldberg, I want to thank you for joining us. Complex but very important conversation. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, Ph.D.
Dr. Stephen Rose is president of Passaic County Community College. Good to see you, Dr. Rose.
Good to see you.
You had a great line right before we get on the air. I said, we've done a fair number of programs with some of your colleagues in the community college sector. And what did you say?
I said, that's where New Jersey's going to college these days.
What's up with that?
Well, you go back 50 years. Most minorities, women, didn't really have an opportunity to go to college. Basically back then it was mostly white men that got to go to college. Community colleges changed all that. when we came around, all of a sudden, it was about access. It was about opening doors to people that never had the opportunity to go to college. So we're the new kids on the block, 45 years old in most cases since the first community colleges got there, and all of a sudden, it's boomed. It's great.
Describe your place, because the heart of your campus is in Paterson.
Yes, it is.
And describe the population, because when I was looking at the notes, I thought this couldn't be right. 1,800 of your students are single parents.
Yes, they are. Well, it was an interesting story. When the college was founded back in the early 70s, there was a fight in Passaic County. The fight was they had a plot of land out by the golf course in the suburbs, in Wayne, and they had this piece of land in Paterson. And there was a huge fight over where to put the college. And it happens, Bill Pasquale, who's the congressman in the area.
Was he the mayor at the time?
No, his first public thing ever was on the board of trustees at the college.
Oh, really?
And he tells the story of the meeting that went till 2 in the morning, where he got in there, he had 2 votes for the college to be in Paterson, and the rest of the trustees wanted to put it on the golf course. And by 2 in the morning, he managed to convince everyone that we needed to put the college where it could do the most good.
Why is it so important that it's in Paterson?
It sent a message. It sent a message that we were going to open our doors to the people who needed opportunity. A lot of times somebody's 18 years old, or 30 years old, or 40 years old, and they made some bad decisions in their life. Even 18-year-olds who didn't pay enough attention to school. They're 18, they manage to graduate from high school maybe, and they have no direction. They're clearly not ready. Yet they understand that, to get anywhere today, you need some post-secondary credential.
You need it? You have to have it?
You have, and I said a post-secondary credential.
You don't say graduate, do you?
No.
What's the difference?
The difference is you need some training post-high school. In some cases, you need a Ph.D. In some cases, you just need a few classes. We'll have a networking certificate in computers. Student who is bright comes in, takes 10 classes from us, concentrated in networking, they can go out and get a job. Without that, they couldn't. Today, medical coding, the whole healthcare with the Affordable Care Act, things are changing. There's a whole new coding system that's out there right now. We have to retrain people who learned this 20 years ago. When you go to the doctor, they put that diagnosis code. Those are all changing.
Yes.
Well, it's places like community colleges, so we have a coding certificate. People come in. If you don't want a full degree and you want to just learn a skill, learning coding, you can work for hospitals, doctor's offices, insurance companies, all those places.
It's interesting you mentioned healthcare. Otherwise, the Affordable Care Act, whether you call it Obamacare or not, President Obama has made it clear what he believes our goals should be, right, when it comes to higher education.
Absolutely.
By 2020, the president said America would once again have the highest, or should in fact, once again have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world.
We fell behind.
What's it going to take?
It's going to take innovative programs at the colleges. It's going to take ways of helping students get through. So for example, at the same time, rules have changed on financial aid. It used to be that a student was eligible for 18 semesters. Now it's only 12 semesters of full eligibility. That's to get a baccalaureate. So
who disproportionately is hurt by that?
The poorest students and the students who need help to get them up to college level. So, not every student who graduates from high school is ready for college. So sometimes we have to give them developmental classes, or they may need to learn English as a second language. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to accelerate their programs. If a student is motivated, so we've got these things we're calling boot camps now, where students will come in the summer, sometimes it'll take a whole semester. We'll give them intensive studies. Unfortunately, a 3-credit college class, you remember from your college days,
Sure.
It meets 2 hours and 40 minutes a week. If you're way behind in math, 2 hours and 40 minutes a week for 15 weeks isn't going to do it for you.
What will?
A much more intensive program.
A boot camp?
A boot camp. And we're having tremendous success. Now, we don't start the financial aid clock until they finish these boot camps. So we put them in so they're ready to go into a higher level. And if they could get into a higher level, that means they're not going to go through that cycle that unfortunately so many students go through is, they had trouble for the first 18 years of their life with schooling. We put them in and automatically think it's going to change. No, we need to change. And we need to find, if this student didn't learn well in a traditional classroom setting, Maybe they need one-on-one. Maybe they could use computer-aided instruction. Maybe they could do it in a variety of different learning styles. We need to figure out if that student didn't learn well up to this point, what can we do to get them to learn well?
Before I let you out of here, you've said that really in some ways what your institution, what other institutions like it, particularly in urban areas, provide is, whether it's the last chance, but a second chance at the middle class.
Well, it's a path to the middle class. It's probably the easiest path there is to the middle class right now is to get an education. And if that education isn't available elsewhere, we'll get you through. And that's what's different about us.
26 years you told me you've been.
I've been at Passaic, yep.
17 as president?
Yep.
Your passion comes from?
Being, interesting story. About 12, 13 years ago, it was icy, took a fall outside the campus, fractured my shoulder. They take me to the hospital, St. Joseph Hospital in Paterson. I was in a bit of pain at the time, and I'm in the emergency room. One by one, the nurses are coming in the emergency room. I know you. You're from the college. And the pain is getting worse at this point. And then they take me for X-ray, and it's the students from our radiography program who tell me I graduated from the college. And I tell this story often because it's when I realized the impact that this college had on the community. That's when I figured it out. That's when the light bulb went on for me.
How proud were you?
Oh, from that day on, I got it. I understood how important we were to what was going on in this community. And
you're making a difference.
It's great, absolutely.
Another 26 years.
We're going to try.
Dr. Stephen Rose, president of Passaic County Community College. I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, Ph.D.
Dr. Heikki Uustal is the medical director of the Prosthetic Orthotic Team at the JFK Johnson Rehabilitation Institute. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
There are two pieces to this, the prosthetic and the orthotic team.
Correct.
Differentiate between prosthetics and orthotics.
Sure. Prosthetics are artificial limbs that replace a body part that is no longer there. Any part that's amputated generally can be replaced with a prosthesis, whether it be arm, leg, or something else. Orthotic or orthosis is a device that helps to support a part that is there. So that would be a brace or a splint of some sorts. So we have a team that basically fabricates prosthetic devices, artificial limbs, and braces for patients with various underlying diagnoses, and then another part of our team that helps to train them. Those would be the physical therapists.
Now, prostheses, they have changed dramatically over the last, I was going to say 15, 20 years, or even 10, or no?
Well, there have been evolutionary changes over 100 years, and I'm in this practice 26 years. I've seen big changes in 10 years, but if I look back even over 30 years, when we first introduced some materials to us, like carbon fiber was introduced 30 years ago and now becoming a commonplace in our field, but we're still learning how to work with that material. Electronically controlled devices were available 20 and 30 years ago, but now computer-controlled electronic devices are becoming available. And we are, again, just learning how to incorporate those into prosthetic devices.
Doctor, why don't we do this? Let's take a look at a couple of prosthetic legs. Now, what are we looking at, and what period of time was this?
Sure, this is something that could have been made 50 years or longer ago. The top piece that goes onto the body could have been literally carved out of one piece of wood, and there is literally a single bolt that goes as a pivot point for the knee, and the same for the foot and ankle mechanism.
50-ish years ago?
50-ish years ago, before we had plastics, before we had carbon fiber, before we had any known computer.
Let's take a look at the next shot.
Here now we have a more modern device. The socket itself is made out of plastics and carbon fiber. The black is essentially all carbon fiber. This is a mechanical knee, but a very sophisticated mechanical knee using hydraulic mechanisms and springs. The lower parts that are black are, again, mostly carbon fiber to keep it light, keep it strong, keep it bouncy. This would be a sports type prosthesis for someone with amputation above the knee.
Last shot.
And then here we have a gentleman who is a a young man who lost his leg due to some underlying trauma, who now has, again, a carbon fiber and plastic socket, the part that goes onto his leg, and now has a computer-controlled knee that literally is recalibrating the stability of that knee 60 times per second as he walks to keep him safe, keep him stable. He can walk fast, he can walk slow, he can run, he can walk up a hill, down a hill, he can walk downstairs step over step without concern about this knee buckling or giving way, because that computer in the knee is constantly thinking for him.
The computer thinks for him, doctor?
Yeah, it has sensors in the knee that measure how much load is on that leg when you're standing on it. It measures how quickly the knee is bending, and it knows where we are in the walking pattern, in the walking cycle. So it knows exactly what should be happening. The knee should be stiff, a little firmer when you're standing on it, and it should be loose to swing free when we're taking a step. It also knows when we want to sit down to let us down slowly. And it knows that partly by software programming that goes into it, but it's also programmed on a laptop for that individual patient, for his activities. So while he is learning to use this device, the prosthetist, the person that builds this device, is also training the device to work with him. The two essentially work together.
One of the things I was thinking about, doctor, is that you treat so many different age groups, genders and age groups. A prosthetic for a child, 10-year-old versus a 40-year-old, how different? Because a child's still growing.
Yeah, well, we start even from birth. A child that's even 6 or 9 months old that will be just sitting and balancing and soon pulling themselves up to cruise on the furniture and start walking soon will need a very simple device that has maybe no joints at all, no knees, no ankles, no nothing. And as they grow, the technology kind of grows with them. A 5-year-old still needs very simple products, but a 10-year-old, there are electronic parts that are available for both arms and legs for children of that age, and certainly as you get into high school and teenage years, that's when they may take advantage of it the most.
The emotional issues are huge connected to, I mean, someone says, oh, yeah, you have this prosthetic leg. My advances in technology are terrific, but how technology does not deal with the emotional and psychological issues.
Yeah, there's always the adjustment to limb loss. And to be honest with you, the young, active adult population, male or female, are the ones that struggle with it the most, because they're used to just get up and go and do what you need to do. And the term multitasking has been around for years now, because that's what we are expected to do. We're on our phone, we're in the car, we're going to work, we're taking care of the kids, we're thinking about 10,000 things. And now suddenly, if your life changes in an instant, in an accident or some type of horrendous medical event that occurs, that suddenly you lose an arm or lose a leg or perhaps multiple arms or legs, your life changes so dramatically. And adjusting to that change in your life, not even thinking about what the prosthesis, what the artificial limb will do for you, but just the loss of ability to do what you did so quickly, so easily. Yet the older population, the folks that have been around for a while and perhaps seen some of their peers perhaps lose a limb to diabetes and circulation disease, they seem to adjust to it much better because they've had time to kind of adjust to life.
Real quick, as we're about to show some other pictures, but real quick, these are arms, I believe.
Sure.
Real quick, the cost here.
Wow, this is the difficult part. We start in the $5,000 and $10,000 range, and we're up to $50,000 and $70,000.
Well, by the way, as we're looking at this, I'm sorry for interrupting, doctor.
Sure.
Give me the cost on that.
This is an $8,000 arm prosthesis, and this technology has been around for 100 years.
And the economics have not changed dramatically there?
Not dramatically. The company that makes that style of hooks was established over 100 years ago, and they still make the same design.
Why is it that the technology hasn't improved there in the way it's improved for one's leg?
Well, the interesting part is that the hand does so many delicate things that we don't expect the foot to do. The leg simply holds us up. We walk from here to there. The expectation is we just don't fall down. But when we go to pick up an object or manipulate an object or just, button a button, straighten my tie, take care of myself, the expectation from the hand is so dramatically different. So the technology to catch up to make this happen, it just isn't quite there yet. We always seem to be on the verge.
Talking about a hand, look at that.
Yeah, this is the latest of the, commercially available technology. Here, all the fingers move, the thumb can be moved individually, but we don't quite have the point where we can move every finger individually. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Before I let you out of here real quick, 20 seconds, Medicare pays 80%?
Medicare pays only 80%, which means when we're talking about a $50,000 product, my patient may still be vulnerable or liable for $10,000 unless they have some special supplement that covers it. So the cost and the technology, there's always a balance there of what can we as a society afford, what can the patient individually afford, and why is this technology still so expensive?
Doctor, thank you for shedding light on this very important and frankly not a topic that's not covered by those of us in the media enough. Thank you, Doctor, appreciate it.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by Celgene Corporation, JFK Medical Center, NJIT, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, the Allendorf Center, and by the Adler Aphasia Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus, New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios. This program has been made possible in part by Meridian Health.
My doctor was worried that my spine would snap.
I felt something rip in my back.
I knew I was having a stroke at that point.
In the blink of an eye, your life changes.
They gave me back life as I'd want it.
I feel great. I have no physical complaints, no pain.
I'm back living my life the way it's supposed to be.
All the best is a moment away.